Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Diamond Valley Writers Guild's June meeting. We have a great program for you today. If you notice there's a few more people in the room, some unfamiliar faces, it's because the Hemet-San Jacinto Valley Chamber of Commerce ambassadors, is that what you call? Ambassadors are here because it is our ribbon cutting ceremony. So first off, I'd like to welcome any new members that are here, any first-time participants, which includes probably pretty much everyone from the chamber, and all of you long-term, die-hard guild members. Thank you for your continued support. We very much appreciate it. We're going to be entering our 10th year as a nonprofit organization in the Hemet-San Jacinto Valley, and this is the first year we're a member of the nonprofit member of the Chamber of Commerce. I want to remind the Zoom participants to please mute your mics when it comes to question and answer, or when our speaker may call for volunteers. We'll ask you to unmute at that time. Very much appreciate that. So without any further ado, we're going to launch into our ribbon cutting. So if I could call up the Chamber of Commerce and also any directors in the room, if you could come forward, please. I'd appreciate it. We have 2 directors that are on Zoom.
Thank you for allowing us to be here this morning. Did you know that the Chamber of Commerce has been around since about 1920? Still going here strong in the Valley, and that's something to be celebrated. And it's almost as long as you guys have been here, 10 years. So another 90 and you'll catch up. But we're super proud that you're here providing this service and this activity for this Valley. I am flanked by some important people here, and I'm just going to go down the line, and then I'll let them present to you, and we'll do the ribbon cutting. This is Mayor Jackie Peterson of Hemet. And then Councilwoman of San Jacinto is Crystal Ruiz. Representative from Senator Ochoa Bogue's office, this is William Boyd. And this young lady and the one back there are my 2 trusted folk at the Chamber of Commerce. This is Brenda Romero, New York Life, and Alicia Alvarez with Balloonatics. So without further ado, so we can move your meeting along, I'm going to pass this down the line, and here's Jackie Peterson.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to see such a nice group, and I always tell everybody we have so many talented people in our valley, and we've got a great art association, we've got great musicians, and now I know we have great writers. And you said you've been around for 10 years as a nonprofit, and you probably dabbled in it before that. So it's wonderful that you're becoming a chamber member, and we hope that you get more exposure and more members, and that everybody really enjoys it. So I just have a little certificate here for you. It says the City of Hemet extends best wishes to Diamond Valley Writers Guild on your new membership with the Hemet-San Jacinto Valley Chamber of Commerce. And it's presented today, June 21st, and it's signed by myself and all of our council members. So congratulations, and we hope you grow and enjoy what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I get to the honor of giving you the sticker for your window. So this is very cool. If you go around town and look at the windows of the businesses, you'll see a sticker that says the Chamber of Commerce. And those are the businesses we want to go to. This one in particular, and I'm going to give you that. This one in particular, the Writers Guild, first of all, I didn't know you existed. I knew we had a couple writers in town, but you have quite a few even in this room.
Over 70 members.
Wow. Holy cow. That is really 450 participants. That's amazing. And so I look forward to watching and reading some of the stuff that comes out from the community. And I can't wait to get invited to some of these book signings. And that's what they do first, right? Book signings when they first start doing their book tours.
Yeah, usually, but we're actually education-based and support-based, helping writers figure out the best way to publish, how to find an agent, how to write their books, basically. And so we're kind of full service. And we have a YouTube channel as well as presence on social media. But the last step is usually the book signing.
So that means that you guys are really important. In order for us to, somebody who is not an author, in order for them to get something published, it's very difficult if you don't know what you're doing. So you guys are really providing an invaluable service. So thank you for what you do. God bless you. And I hope that those who are watching who have not written a book, they come down here and check you guys out. It's the third Saturday of every month, right? January through October. So I think you'll be seeing me some more. I'm going to go ahead and hand you over to William. Congratulations.
Good morning. So on behalf of Senator Ochoa Bog, I'd like to present this certificate just to welcome you to the chamber. Thank you for supporting writers. You know how valuable it is to just humanity, right? Like they shape society, they shape culture, shape laws. Like it's super important what you all do, and you're not going to be replaced by AI because it will never take the pen out of your hands or keyboard or whatever you all are using these days. But yeah, we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're here to stay. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out this morning.
Yes, thank you for the work that you do. I was thinking about writing something and I was going to go to ChatGPT, but now that I know you're here, I'll just work with you guys. Okay, and so now we'll just move right into the ceremony. We're going to cut this ribbon if you're ready.
I want to say that this organization would not exist without the hard work and support of our volunteers. You'll see them in the back. You see them setting up equipment at 8 a.m. every third Saturday of the month. I have two directors here with me, Sophia Barber, Jessica Bruce, and up on the screen is Lynette Tucker and Kevin Kindle. Lynette lives in Montana. She's one of our board of directors, and Kevin lives in Calgary, Canada. So we are an international organization as well, although we're based here in the Valley.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing. Thank you for the work that you do and will continue to do. So I'm going to grab this ribbon. If you hold, we're going to just pull this along the side here. And would you like to hold this, please? Cool. And then I'll hand these to who would ever like to do the cutting. They are real and sharp. We'll just lower it down just a little bit here. Yeah. Just pull it tightly. Go ahead and pull it tightly. So, all right, and so you're just going to go over the top. Well, we're gonna get some photos first and let everyone get some pictures before you come up. And then, yep, we'll wait till some cameras happen here, and there you go, paparazzi. And then at the count from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! You can keep the ribbon, actually. That's tricky with the ribbon.
I could use those, let me tell you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I really appreciate the chamber coming out and councilwoman and mayor and, of course, representative of our senator. I highly, highly appreciate you guys spending time with us, even if it's a few minutes here on a Saturday morning. So thank you again. You are all welcome to stay, by the way, if you wish. And grab a cookie. Thank you. Thank you, Sophia. Okay, so those of you who are new to the Guild, we don't usually have this much pomp and circumstance at the beginning of our meetings. So, you won't say, are they doing this every month? No. This was a one-time thing, and we're very thankful to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So we're going to move right on to our anthology committee update. So at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Kevin Kindle in Canada. He's our anthology committee representative for the purposes of imparting great information on what's going on with our ongoing anthology project. Kevin?
Hello. The anthology is in the final stages of editing. There's been a lot of contracts already sent out, and we've already received a few of them, and the author bios that we're working on. And we're also still working with graphic artists regarding our cover design. And we're hopefully going to have something we can start sharing with you guys here in the next, I don't know, a little while anyway. But we are in the final stages of editing. That's where that's at.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. A round of applause. He's been working tirelessly on this. Okay, shout outs. Lynette?
And get my audio on there. Good morning, everybody. As you know, one of the perks of being a member is that we do monthly shout outs to our entire mailing list. If you've got something writing related, like a new book or a blog post or maybe a book signing, go ahead and send those in. Send them into the Writers Guild email by the 5th of the month, and we will post that by around the 20th. Now, I know yesterday was the 20th, but I knew we were having a meeting today, so I wanted to give all of you who haven't joined yet a chance to join so I can feature you on our shout outs too. So.
Thank you, Lynette. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, that is a membership benefit. You must be a paid member to have a shout out, but not to participate in our meeting. Kevin, would you like to talk about DVWG merch?
Sure. The Diamond Valley Writers Guild has a partnership with Cafe Press, and we can provide all kinds of merchandise such as shirts, golf balls, coffee cups, coasters. There's a bag I saw on the counter or on the table in there. There's all kinds of stuff. I think there's like 350 products, and Cafe Press takes care of all the shipping and payments and all that stuff, and we just get a small commission from each item. So that helps to support the guild, and it helps to grow the guild by showing off our merchandise.
Excellent. And Kevin's the one that set up that online store for us. You can see some other merch live and in person up here at the cookie table. So you can look at that later. We're not selling it, by the way. You'd have to go online, but at least you know what it looks like. The quality of the t-shirts is really good. And Aiden in the back, he's modeling one wherever he went. He's hiding, but he's modeling one of the shirts today. Membership renewal, Jessica.
Hello, everyone. I know you love hearing from me every single month. I am your treasurer, so I get to look at numbers and get all cross-eyed at them. So I'm here to tell you the benefits of membership. One is, in fact, the shout-outs that every month you get to put all of your work, speaking events, engagements, conferences, anything like that you're working at or you have accomplished, you get to put into our monthly newsletter. Or monthly shout outs that go out to our 450 person mailing list. So it reaches quite a lot of people and it's growing every single month. The other thing you get to do is participate in guild anthologies and writing events. So we are currently working on getting an anthology out in the fall. So if you want to be a part of any of that, it's too late to get into this one, but maybe to the next one, you have to be a paid member in good standing. The other thing you get is you get to be a part of speaking events, reading events. So we have 2 meetings a year where it's all about the membership. We have the poetry meeting where you get to share your poetry or poems that you really, really like. And at the end of the year, as our last huzzah, we have the prose meeting. And the prose meeting, you get to share your writing to the guild. So if you want to participate in those, you have to be a paid member in good standing. We like to keep it fair. We know how things are tight for everybody. So for a year, that is the entire working year, which is January through October, it is $25 a month for an adult. It is a year. I'm sorry. It's a year. We're fair. We're not gouging you out, I promise. So it's $25 a year. And you get access to all of those things. If you are a high school student, it is $10. And if you're a college student, it is $15. We want to make sure that everyone can afford it and be a part of our guild. Busy day of excitement, everyone. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. She does a great job. And the thing people don't realize for a nonprofit sometimes is that includes having to deal with things like filing the annual taxes with the federal and the state. So it's a big job that she does. And so, say thank you to her if you get an opportunity. That will segue to the one last member benefit is that to hold an office, to be an officer, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, or we have a member at large director position, which is kind of the catch-all, as well as the direct line of communication to the membership. And the elections are in October. If you have an interest in becoming part of the leadership of the guild, help decide the direction of the guild, please let one of the directors know and we'll get you information on how you can run for office. Speaking of volunteers, hybrid team in the back, we're always looking for people to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning and help us set up once a month. I'd like to recognize from left to right in the back, Liam Bruce, Jessica Bruce, Sophia Barber, and we've got Q. What's your last name again, Q? Okay. One more time. Oh, Cisneros. That's right. I should have looked at it before I got up here. My apologies. He is a high school student at Tahquitz. Oh, he just graduated. Congratulations, Q. Yeah. He's a new member. He's one of our high school paid members. So thank you for participating and being here to help on these Saturdays instead of sleeping in. We appreciate that. We also are looking for people who are willing to do writing tips, 5-minute writing tips at the meetings, or technology tips that help writers, as well as someone to potentially take over the social media aspect of our organization. So that's really about it on that. I do want to segue to my favorite part of the meeting, and that is member successes. So I'd like to know if anyone in the room or on Zoom has had any successes in the last month since the last meeting, as far as maybe you started a project, maybe you finished a project, maybe you had something published, or you won an award, or you were a guest on a podcast. Does anyone in the room have something that they want to share? Come up to the podium if you do. Anybody? Okay. She may need to come on over here. This may be a better spot. Can someone direct her over to here? Anybody on Zoom wanting to share any successes over the last? There's Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. Can someone direct her?
Not really a personal writing success, but I have been doing some work on our YouTube channel. So I've cleaned up the URL so we don't have the 7844 number at the end, and I've started posting the YouTube videos with actual proper cover graphics, so it's a little more aesthetic for that. And I'm working on a bunch of other things for the YouTube channel too, such as a custom header and background and all that kind of stuff. So that's where that's at.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. And round of applause for Kevin. If you've been to our website, you'll know the quality of his work. He is also our webmaster in addition to being vice president of our organization, and he's amazing. Do we have any other successes, project starts, something that someone accomplished? Okay, would you like to come up here and tell everybody what it is? And anyone else on Zoom, be on deck if you'd like to talk. Al is making his way up to the podium. Okay, great. I'll get you next.
I'd just like to mention a project I've started for the July Camp NaNoWriMo. If you haven't done anything through NaNoWriMo and you're a writer, you should be, because it gives me a kick in the butt 3 times a year. And in NaNoWriMo for April, I finished 2 historical novels, and I've got 2 lined up for July. I'm just working on the second outline now. And I write mostly fantasy and science fiction. I'm not a historical writer, but through NaNoWriMo, I've learned to do that, and I've learned to research, and I've learned to how to set goals. And it really forces you to get up every morning knowing you have a certain number of words you got to get through in a day. That's what NaNoWriMo is all about. By setting goals and commitments and sticking with them, you really can achieve a lot more. So this is just the beginning of it, but I'm proud that I'm able to do that. And if I hadn't learned about NaNoWriMo, I probably wouldn't be doing that right now.
Thank you, Al. Look for Al's poetry in the upcoming anthology. By the way, the name of our anthology is Menagerie, a compilation of short stories, poems, and musings. And the theme is animals. It's a very eclectic collection, and it's going to be fabulous. I'm reading every story, helping to edit every story, and there's a lot of wonderful writers in our organization. Someone on Zoom also had, there we go. Go ahead, Tad.
Yeah, hi. I recently had an article published in a online magazine called Brain Hackers. And the article is titled The Virtuous Menage a Trois of Your Mind, Brain, and Mindfulness. So if you're interested, I'll put a link to it. It's just a 5-page article, and it's about improving your thinking skills.
Congratulations, Tad. Everybody give him a round of applause. And I think Yvonne also had an announcement. Go ahead, Yvonne.
Hello. My second book, Curdle Creek, has been nominated for the Shirley Jackson Award, and I'm really excited because it was inspired by Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. Thank you.
Excellent. Congratulations. I remember reading The Lottery when I was in middle school. And to this day, it still had a huge impression on me. That's a wonderful short story. If you haven't read it, go look it up for sure. Any other announcements? Anything like that? By the way, get that into the shout out so we can celebrate you in writing as well. Okay. All right. One more announcement, and this was actually given to me by someone here today. The Hemet Beat Daily Show is a podcast here in the Valley, and they're looking for poets and artists and writers, creatives to be on their podcast. What a timely topic for today. So if you would like more information about that, email the Guild, and I'll make sure that I connect you with the gentleman, and his name is, hold on. Joseph Rage. Rage is his last name? Joseph Rage. Hopefully he doesn't do that much. Any other announcements? If not, we are going to move into our guest speaker for the month. And I'll invite Jessica up here to introduce him. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I skipped one. Kay. Kay, it's your turn. Sorry. Kay Murphy, or S.K. Murphy, as she is known. It's going to be, we can try. As she is known within particularly writing and poetry circles, is I'm going to need some help up here with this mic, is a prolific poet. She's a wonderful poet. She's also the editor of our poetry in our anthology, and she has several books out, but I won't bore you with that. She'll probably tell you a little bit about herself before she launches into her writing tip. So let's let Jessica fix the mic.
Test 1, 2, test. How's it sounding? Good morning, everybody. I asked Michelle if I could do the writing tip because last month our guest speaker was Michael Welker, and Michael mentioned that once upon a time, a long time ago, he was one of my students when he was in high school, and I have enjoyed since then, since he graduated, being his surrogate mom. And now that he is a published author himself, we stay in contact. Our conversations, when he calls me, usually center around our mental health and writing. And so I want to share a little bit about you. And Michelle said earlier, 5-minute writing tip, so I'm going to try to get through this in less than 10. So heads up, and this is going to be more like a pep talk than it is writing tips because these are things you already know. So I am going to consider them gentle reminders to you who are writers out there. So in our conversations, here are a few things that Michael and I have come to know about the writing, about finding success in reaching our writing goals. Gentle reminder number 1, set an attainable goal. If you want to be as successful as Stephen King, that's fine, that's okay, I don't have any problem with that. It might take you a little while, okay? So set an attainable goal, a measurable, attainable goal. Excuse me. And it doesn't matter what that goal is, whether it is to write a novel, write a memoir, have a poem published in a literary magazine, begin writing a column for your local independent newspaper. Good luck finding one of those. It doesn't matter what it is, but set an attainable goal and then determine a time limit, a year, 6 months away. Okay, because everything after that, once you have your goal, I'm going to do this writing project, everything else is just a series of tasks you have to complete until you reach your goal. Right? Easy peasy. Gentle reminder number 2, Make time. I've discussed this before. You do not need large blocks of time to write a book. It's nice if you have them. I had a summer once to write a book. It was lovely. You don't need to go up to a mountain retreat for a year or 6 months, although that would be lovely too. You don't. You can write a novel writing only 30 minutes a day if that's all you have, but you have to make the time, which means you may have to make some sacrifices. You may have to not watch American Idol or scroll through Instagram for quite so long or play pickleball for quite so long. But if you write 250 to 500 words a day, that's 3,500 words in a week, which is 14,000 words in a month, which is 84,000 words in a book in 6 months. I let my phone do the math. I didn't do that myself. Gentle reminder number 3, keep your writing time sacred. This is probably the hardest of the 4 that I'm going to share with you. Keeping your writing time sacred. Once you know when your writing time is your writing time, then you need to keep that sacred, and that means 2 things. It means shutting off your phone, which if you have an iPhone is as easy as this. Hey Siri, turn on Do Not Disturb. Okay, my phone is over there, but it just said Do Not Disturb is already turned on because I turned it on at the beginning of the meeting. And now some of you might want to check your iPhones because if it listened to me, it turned off your notification. It's just that easy. And you may have to tell your pickleball partners, no, you can't socialize during that time, or you can't participate in the group gossip chat because this is your writing time. Or don't tell them it's your writing time because they won't understand. Tell them you have a standing appointment with your passion and let it go at that. And remember that when you do have your writing time, you need to show up. You need to show up and you need to shut out all the clamor, and you need to take a breath, and you need to focus on that passion that you have. Gentle reminder number 4, and this is the last one, practice hard. Expect failure. And I would say embrace failure. Why? You already know the answer because you already know this. This is how we learn, right? When we embrace our failures, when we look at it and say, oops, that's not right, we can fix it. Embrace failure because that's the way it's going to work, right? How do we learn that stuff? How does an artist learn to draw a hand? When you're in kindergarten, how did you learn to draw a hand? You traced it, right? Whoop, 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 whoop. I drew a hand. That's how I felt the first time I wrote a poem. I wrote a poem, and it was about that good, right? And you kept at it, and you kept at it, you traced it, and then eventually, if you were going to be an artist, you started sketching, looking at a hand and sketching, and looking at a hand and sketching it, drawing it over and over and over again. That's how artists learn. Until finally their muscle memory says, you don't even need to look at a hand, you can draw a hand. And it's the same way for writers. It isn't any different. You're going to write and you're going to write. You're going to write thousands of words, hundreds of pages, hundreds of poems. You're going to send out hundreds of queries. Not a few, hundreds of queries. In the olden days, I used to tell writers to think of rejection slips like junk mail. That it's not important. It's not important. But we don't send things out that way anymore. We do it all online. And so now we don't get rejections. We just get ghosted. And that's okay. Right? That's not, that doesn't have anything to do with the quality of your writing. That doesn't say anything to you about the quality of your writing. It just says that's not needed. Expect failure. learn from it, go on. Practice, 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 and you will get perfect. You will get so perfect. If you've read the novel Go Set a Watchman, and I hope you haven't, and if you haven't, don't. You've read the first draft of the novel To Kill a Mockingbird, which turned out to be a pretty darn good book after it was heavily critiqued and rewritten, right? One of the great American novels, in my opinion. You don't need to read Go Set a Watchman. So sometimes, no, the poem or the story won't match the magic in your head, and that's okay. You're going to rewrite, right? Your writing is not set in stone. Even sculptors can smooth out the imperfections. So can you. That's it. Set a goal. Make time. Make your time sacred. Practice, practice, practice. You got this.
Thank you, Kay. I love listening to you talk. You always have such insightful things, and it was great working with her on the anthology. We were on the same team, so I got to hear her wisdom every week when we were doing that. So that was such a treat. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for this month. Bing Bruce is the creator of Rise Above the Noise Podcast Academy and the author of Rise Above the Noise, A Beginner's Guide to Podcasting. Through a program of hands-on instruction, he helps individuals and groups master the art of professional podcasting. His extensive background in radio, television, and live production includes hosting morning radio shows, commercial and radio play voice work, and event emceeing. He also produced and directed numerous music videos, commercials, 2 naturally syndicated TV shows, and co-produced an award-winning short film. Bing has built a dynamic career as an on-air personality, producer, and educator. He owns and operates Raptor Films and maintains 2 recording studios in Southern California. And most importantly, he's my dad. Please welcome Bing Bruce.
I don't need no stinking stand. Good morning, fellow riders. This is going to be a fun event for you. I don't have to introduce myself. Jessica just did a glorious job. In fact, it was so nice, I thought, gee, I'd like to listen to that guy too. But I won't. I don't like to hear myself talk. Oh, that's not for me. Now, what this is going to be is a fun event. This is an audience participation day. So if you don't volunteer, I will volunteer you. Because in order for this morning to work out real well, and that means you guys up online too, if you don't participate, it's not going to be as fun, okay? Because this should be a really fun thing to do. Now, everybody's heard of podcasting, right? How many of you listen to podcasts? Yeah, just about everybody in the room. How many in here want to do a podcast? That's actually the usual answer I get from writers. And now I see that there's one online there, so you can wave if you want to. And that's great. But that's not why we're here. We know that you don't want to be a podcaster. But what we don't know is just recently, back in probably November, December, podcasting outtook conventional media as the mainstream media. That's huge. That means it is now the new normal. That means that when you guys are going to be interviewed and go on your promotional tours, it's less likely you're going to appear on CBS or CNN, if anybody's even listening to that or watching that, because they're all moving over to podcasting. And you can tell that that's going to be the trend because the major celebrities that are moving into the podcast universe instead of going out and trying to get TV deals. Just recently, we had 2 political people do that. You know who they were? We had Michelle Obama and Newsom all started podcasts. Now, how are they doing? We can debate. We don't have to do that. But what we need to know is they see the trend as well. They know that if they're going to try to get an audience, that it's not on technical and traditional broadcast media. It is on actually podcasting. And they control the ship. Now, with that in mind, and considering that podcasting is now mainstream, we want to train you to be a good podcast guest. And that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to do it not only by me just explaining it to you, which I can do in about 5 minutes, and I have more than that. So most of this time is going to be actually working with you guys to teach you how to be a really good guest. So consider it as a workshop. So if you've got a book or a project or something you want to promote, that's a good time to volunteer because you're actually going to get a physical interview out of this. But we're also going to stop and dissect what worked and what didn't. I want to play a really bad podcast host so you can see exactly what you're going to run into and how to get yourself out of that. Okay, that's one of my favorite things to do, actually. Okay, there are 2 things, just 2, that you need to know to be a good podcast guest. The first one is an easy one. You need to know your own story arc. What does that mean? You're writers. You know who you are. And you're going to be asked, so where'd you grow up? What got you into writing? There's going to be some typical story arc stuff. You need to know this. And I'm sure you structurally know it, but you just need to get your thoughts together. And you need to make sure that your story arc is consistent. You don't want to start with, well, I was born in Oregon, then I went to college in Washington, and then I went to high school in Oregon. And right, you don't want to be all over the place. You want to make that arc just like you would in your story. The reason why this is important is because podcasters are terrible interviewers. There's very few that I've seen that actually do a pretty good job. Even the celebrity ones that you like to watch, they are terrible. They're all over the place. And the reason why, and I like to use this term a lot, is they're winging it. They don't really know who you are. And once the show's over, they're just moving on to the next person. So they're not really generally interested in you. You're just a client to fill the time for them. So they're going to start shotgunning questions out there to fill the time. Most of this group is old enough to remember Larry King, right? And you're going, yeah, Larry King, he's the king. He was terrible. He was absolutely terrible. He would phone it in every night. He would just ramshot questions out there, and his guests would just be answering them as though it was an interrogation. And I was on the morning show, and so I did the morning shift for the drive time. I had to listen to him on the station on the way into work every day, and then listen to him until I started my show. And I was pulling my hair out with how bad his questioning was. That's probably why they put him on the midnight shift, right? Because he wasn't hurting anybody out there. But this is what's going to happen. Because these podcasters don't have this kind of experience, even less than Larry King, they're going to be doing those same kind of things because it's habits that they fall into. Now, in my classes, I teach them not to do that. I teach them to find your story arc. And if you run into one of my students who are podcasting, you're going to get a good interview out of it. Okay? Number 2, what do you want from the interview? Well, obviously, you've got a book to sell or some kind of a poem or something that you've done that's creative that you're trying to promote. So that's the second and probably one of the most important things. Because if the interview is going all over the place and you're not promoting your book, you're wasting your time and you're wasting the person's time on the podcast. Now, I've had about almost a dozen interviews since I launched my book in April. And a lot of them are really, really nervous because there's nothing worse than interviewing somebody who will critique your interviewing skills. So those few brave ones actually did some decent interviews. However, there was a couple that I may use in examples in the next version of my book because they were doing all these wrong things. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so number 1, know your story arc. Number 2, know what you want from the interview. Okay, let's get right down to the instructions. We want to know how to control this interview. When you have those 2 elements in hand, the next thing you need to do is steer the interview. So when he starts off with, well, welcome to my show, Bing. Tell me, what do you think of the volleyball scores that happened at the last game of college last night? Going, hey, that was terrific. But you know what? In my book, I talk about volleyball. I'm steering that person right back to the subject that I want to talk about, right? And if he doesn't take the bait, then I'll do it again. Wow, you talk about it in your book. That's wonderful. And what's your favorite fish? It's like salmon. In fact, I mentioned salmon in my book because it's one of my favorite things. Right? If he doesn't get a clue, this interview is not going to go well, right? But we want to do that. And those are little phrases. In fact, I've got a couple up here that I wrote as examples. You use phrases to gently steer the conversation back to your story arc. And one common one, and this is really good, right? So you're telling your story arc, right? Well, I grew up in New York and I was a bad kid. And then I ran into a teacher who actually inspired me to be a good writer. So I started writing. And then the interviewer goes, when you were in New York, did you ever take the cabs? Right? Where's he going with this, right? So you have to have these little phrases that steer him back. It's like, you know what? That's a good question. You put that phrase in there. And then you go back to your story. Right? Yeah, that's a good question. But while I was there with the instructor, right, and you just continue on with your story, you just ignore that stupid question. Because the reason why he asked the stupid question was because he doesn't know what he's doing and he doesn't have any idea where to go with this. So you have to steer him. Okay? Another phrase. Funny you asked that. This is a phrase that you can use to steer it back to your book. So, you have a question? We'll get to that in just a second, all right? Let me run through this. I'm almost done with this part, and you can do that. All right, so funny you should ask that is another one of my favorite ones because you're telling a story. When they say, where did you go to high school? Well, I went to high school in Seattle, Washington. And they'll say, oh, did you ever try the fish and chips in Washington? Funny you should ask that. While I was in high school, we used to eat fish and chips. And when I studied in high school, I started teaching and learning how to do this podcast stuff, right? Steer them back to the subject. That's what you always want to do with these. The interviewers are always going to be terrible. I can guarantee you're probably going to have, if you get 10 interviews, maybe 1 or 2 at best will be really, really good at this. Okay? We also have, I'll get to that in a second. No, I can do that now. Directing these abstruse questions that they ask. The Larry King interview. What's your favorite color? Did you ever wear blue jeans? Did you ever date, a celebrity? These are just random questions. And you have to ask yourself, where is he going with this interview, with those questions? You have no idea, right? It becomes an interrogation. And you start to get offended by that. And so you don't want to answer them. And so your answers get shorter and shorter. You can steer it back, but there are going to be times where the interview is just a lost cause, and you're just going to have to say, this has been fun, but geez, look at the time. I got to go change the air in my tires, right? And just get out of the interview. It's going to be a podcast. You can dump out of it anyway, right? You have power to do that. But if you get into a bad interview situation like that, don't suffer through it because there's nothing you can do with it. You want these interviews for marketing purposes. And if you're getting a bad interview out of it, dump out of it. Just say, nice talking with you, but you don't know what you're doing. Have a nice day, right? And get out because you don't want to waste your time with that. You want to spend more time doing interviews that are more productive for you. Okay, so you had a question, but you have to come up here, okay, because nobody can hear you unless you're on a microphone. Okay.
We have a microphone monitor.
You hear so many times, that's a good question. I hear that all the time in an interview. So you're saying, you say that if it's the stupidest question you've ever heard?
Well, not if it's the stupid one. Remember, you've got two objectives. You've got your story arc, and you might be finished with your story arc. And now you're talking about your book, right? Somewhere along the line, they're going to run out of material. Most of you, if you don't know, there's 6 questions that a good journalist always asks. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Good interviewers will do that. And they won't when they're a bad interviewer. So they're just going to start shooting stupid questions at you. But if you are serious about taking control over the interview, you want to use these little phrases like, yeah, that's a good question. I'll get to that in just a second because I want to tell you about what happens that leads up to that. Even if you never get there, you're just steering them back towards what you want to talk about. Okay. Does that help?
Yeah. You do hear people always saying, that's a good question on every interview. And I just wondered if they're really thinking, what a stupid.
Yes, that's exactly what they're thinking. Right? It does. When I was in radio, it was my first gig here in Southern California, and I was working with another gentleman. He had the afternoon shift right after me, and we were really good friends. And he gave me some advice that I lived with for the rest of my life. And you've probably heard this before. If you're going to tell somebody to go to hell, make him enjoy the trip. right? And that's kind of what those, right? And because I'm not a diplomat, and some people that know me really well know that I'm not a diplomat. I'm very, very brutally honest, and not to hurt anybody's feelings. Usually it's just I'm brutally honest, right? If you say, well, what do you think of my script? I'm going, yeah, I think it should be covered with cat litter. Right? Not, well, that hurts people's feelings. I shouldn't have said that, but okay. But yeah, what those people are doing when they're actually saying that phrase is they're deflecting back to the topic. Whether or not it's their story arc or wherever they just want to talk about their subject, which is most likely it. Right? So think about a celebrity for a moment. A celebrity is doing a movie, and they're out there promoting the movie, and they get on a podcast, and the interviewer starts asking a really stupid question. So what do you think of the price of air at the Arco station? Right? Does that have anything to do with their movie? It doesn't. So what they're going to end up doing is going, well, that's a really good question. You know, and in the movie, we actually shot at an Arco station nearby, right? The movie is what we're talking about here. And if it doesn't get that way, then they usually end up just killing the interview, right? So those are tools that happen. How do we take control? This is an important part, okay? If you want to keep the interview going and you think you can get some value out of it, then you want to take control over it. So normally, who is controlling the interview? It's the person asking the questions. So turn it around on them. So when they start asking stupid questions, you turn around and say, gosh, you know what? Where'd you get that suit? That's just really cool on you. And let them start talking. How did you get into podcasting? Because it's fascinating. And then they'll start talking about themselves because they want to. That's a safe zone for them. So you start asking them the questions and take over the interview. Now you can still get your message out there, right? When they answer, oh yeah, I got my suit at Neiman Marcus. Oh yeah, I remember that because we actually was using some of their stuff for our movie that I'm here to talk to you about, right? But still turn it around and keep asking them the questions and run the clock out asking them questions. What ends up happening is they start feeling really good. They're going, oh wow, I'm connecting with this guy, right? Oh, he likes talking to me. He's asking me questions and we're having a conversation. And that's what he starts to feel when actually what you're doing is you're rescuing the interview and taking control of it, right? Now, when you take control of it, and you'll know, right? You'll know when you do it. You can just feel it. When you start taking it over, that's when you just start hard promoting your project. So, by the way, my book is now out on Amazon, and you can get it at this link here, or you can go down to the Barnes & Noble and pick it up there. They're going to go, oh, yeah, let me promote the book for you, right? They're going to pick up that cue because they want to have that conversation with you with that synergy. So this stuff really isn't complicated, but where it gets complicated is you have to build those little corporate memories in your mind and triggers that when you start to feel like the interview is going out of control, that you can jump in there and go, okay, I gotta steer it back to where I want it to go. So with that in mind, who wants to volunteer? Ooh, not everybody at once. Not everybody at once. Don't do that, no.
Do we have anybody in the room, first off, that would like to volunteer to be the first participant in the podcast?
All right, come on back up here.
And
give her a big hand. So stand right here, into the black, because you're on camera that way. I took a bath today. It's okay. Come closer. All right. What's your name?
Jerry Green.
Jerry Green. Okay. That's familiar. I know. I'm just teasing you, but for the people that don't know who you are. Okay. So I'm going to pretend like I'm a really bad podcaster. Okay. And I'm desperate to have a guest on my show. And you said, oh, I need some promotion for my project, which is a book, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to see, and we're going to dissect this, right? So when it starts to go astray and you're not picking it up, I'm going to tell you, okay, wait, this is the time that it went astray. Or if you pick it up, I'm going, good job, you picked that up, okay? So this is, somehow I feel offended by that. All right, you ready to start? All right. Hi, welcome to the Bing's World podcast, where today I have celebrity writer Jerry Green, who's going to talk about her book. Jerry, welcome to my show.
Oh, it's nice to be here, Bing.
Well, thank you very much. So tell me, where'd you go to school?
Hemet High.
Hemet High School. Did you study writing back then?
No, I didn't.
No?
Went on to college, then I studied creative writing, got into it at that time, and have been writing ever since.
And it's, what kind of writing were you doing back then?
Short stories, and that's about it, short stories.
Okay, and do you have anything that's out there published that we could see?
Yes, I became a playwright. I had 5 plays published and done in Hemet and Idlewild and Beaumont, and got, what was the award? Remember the Inland Theater League? It's defunct now, but I did get Playwright of the Year.
So when you were in high school, were you kind of like a nerd, or were you, popular? What was it like being in high school?
I had a lot of friends in different groups. I played it safe and covered my bases. I was not the most popular person, but I was liked. And that is a nice jacket, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you, Neiman Marcus. Yeah. All right, well, let's stop here for just a second, okay? So she picked up the cue, okay? We started with where did she go to school, and then went on to talk about her, her book stuff, and then I went back to her high school days. I'm bouncing all over the place. You picked that up, right?
Yes.
I'm glad you said yes. Okay. So she's realizing, all right, red flag. He's suddenly jumping back to high school again. So he either missed something that he wanted to say, or he's starting to bounce around. Okay. So the jacket one was too early, but at least you're on the right groove. Okay. So the next move would be to watch what I say next. Okay. So
Should I have said that was a good question instead?
no, you answered it actually just fine. All right. Because you're still being the nice guest on the show, and you're wondering, oh, maybe he skipped something he was going to cover. He's going to try to make a point here. Right? I'm not making a point. I'm just trying to fill the time. And so you pick that up right away. So your perception is very good. Okay? So let's continue on. Okay? All right. So when you wrote these scripts, did you actually perform in these scripts?
Yes, in the plays. Oftentimes I would write myself in a part, but a small part, and that way I could be on stage and hear the audience reactions more, feel if things were working, and if not, I'd be behind the curtain watching the whole thing.
So kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock approach to this.
Well, I didn't open it with a profile, but yeah, I guess.
Well, he would do that. He would write scripts and write himself into small little parts, is what I'm saying there.
I've been watching them lately, actually.
Have you? The old black and white shows?
I love black and white. I don't know why, but
it's its own canvas, very much so. And black and white has been around ever since film was created.
That's true. And that's why I like watching it. And from the plays, I segued into novel writing.
All right, let's stop right here. Did you see what she did there? Give her a hand for that. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. She took it right back where it belonged, right? It had nothing to do with black and white films. I'm going off on a tangent, and she picked up the cues and ran with it. That was awesome. How'd that feel?
Pretty good.
Yes, it feels good. She took control over it and steered it right back. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so you were just talking about the scripts. Do you need a second to get your train of thought?
No, I'm on to my novels now, which is why I'm here, Bing.
Oh, so tell me about your novel.
The one I'm writing, the one I've just finished, is called How to Bury a Bachelor. And it's a mystery. It's a mystery how we do it. But it's because of the popularity of the Bachelor franchise, which I lambast on my Facebook page. And it's coming out July 7th, the next one, I think.
Well, that was a question I was going to ask you, and we'll follow up with that in just a second there. So what was the inspiration for writing a mystery like this?
Well, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to kill one of those bachelors? So that was really the impetus, because there's been a few real jerks on there. And I thought, well, they haven't really done that in the Hallmark vein. It's all, mushy. And I thought, well, let's take it down a notch.
Okay, so now I got to deviate just a little bit here, because the interview is actually going pretty good, because she's covering very well. But now I'm going to give you one of these guys that love the sound of their voice, right? And just drive me crazy when they do these kind of questions. So, Jerry, books have been written ever since man could write, and there's been different variations on books. Sometimes they're self-help books, sometimes they're religious doctrine, sometimes they're just comedies, and there's books out there that are in various different shapes and sizes. What kind of book do you think would kind of inspire you to be like your book?
Well, I'd like to think there's no.
What's she gonna say, right? I just like the sound of my own voice, and I'm trying to sound intelligent here, right? When I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, right? And she doesn't either. So when I threw that question at her, she's, I got a phone book? I don't know, right?
Right. But you talked about humor, and there is humor in my mystery. So that's the kind of books I enjoy. And I don't want to say there's no other book like mine, because that would be stupid to say. So you didn't have a question, I don't think. So can I talk about my novel a little bit more?
Well, I can ask about your novel, right? How many pages is it?
It's 75,000 words, 298 pages, I believe.
Okay, and that was after editing?
Yes, I'm constantly editing. It feels like editing is never done. I'm sure all the writers out there.
These are honestly legitimate questions that I've seen interviewers do, by the way. That's the kind of dumbasses you're going to run into out there. So the fact is, she is doing really good at taking control of this and steering me back to where it's supposed to be. We've covered her story arc, and we've covered what she wants to talk about. The only thing we haven't discussed is how to get a hold of the book. So we'll go to that part, and then we'll end the interview, okay? So Jerry, where can people find your book?
On my computer.
Pay-per-view.
I'm in the process right now of trying to find an agent. So any agents out there, there'll be a link, and you can find me there.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much for being on the Bing's World podcast with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that fun? That is the kind of reality you're going to face when you go out there into the world. How am I doing on time? Good?
You are doing great. You've
Okay.
got plenty of time, at least 45 more minutes.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to cover everybody in the room in that amount of time. So everybody gets a turn. Anybody online want to try this?
I think I saw.
I'll go for it.
Who?
This is Jan Meyer. I don't know where the little thingy to raise your hand is. It doesn't show up on my menu
Okay.
bar.
If you're going to participate on this, you have to put on your camera.
Oh, well, that's unavailable right now.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Bing?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Right? It's an audio podcast.
Okay, Jan. Go
Right. Okay. All right. I'm game. I'll enable myself to be embarrassed, so that I
You
can
can't-
learn more.
Well, and it's not to embarrass you; it's to teach you the road that you're going to be going down with this, right? So nobody should be embarrassed about it. You should be having fun with this, because it's
It
going to
was
help
a
you
joke.
remember it if we're having fun.
Yeah, it was a joke.
Oh, Django for joke. No get. Sorry. All right. You ready to be on the Bing's World podcast?
Yes.
All right. So again, I'm going to be another obnoxious interviewer and go all over the place, and let's see if you pick up the cues. Now, people online, 90% of your interviews are actually going to be Zoom type of meetings anyway. So this is going to work out really good for you to practice doing this. Bye, ladies. Oh, okay. Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, I'm used to people walking out. I mean, I shouldn't have said that. All right, Jan, sorry. We're just having a little fun with the people here. All right, welcome to the Bing's World podcast, where today I have the wonderful writer Jan Meyer on. Jan has been a longtime writer. She's been writing since 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm thrilled to have her on my show today. Jan, welcome to the Bing's World podcast.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So, Jan, you're a writer. That's great. That's a very, very tough job to do, and very little gratification at times. So there's more frustration than actually success for writers, because one, it's really hard to get into the industry, and the second thing is that you have to do all this work for a short-term gain and then a whole bunch of promotion after that. So tell me, where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Illinois, in Palatine, William Fremd. Then I went off to college. I got my bachelor's degree in 2.5 years from Illinois State. Then I went off to Purdue and got a master's degree in physics. Oh, my undergraduate was math and physics. I took the degree in physics. At Purdue, I took my degree in physics. Then I studied for a PhD a little while at Purdue and decided that wasn't for me, went to work. And then went back to school.
Jan, hold on just a second here.
Okay.
It's nice that you have your story arc so well done. Do not just answer the question, right? I asked where you went to high school, and you started giving me your life story. Now, interviewers like that, but they got time to fill, so they're going to ask you those questions anyway, right? So just, I went to high school, and I studied, volleyball or something like that, and give them something to move on to, or don't use volleyball, use something like some kind of writing or English, so it steers them into the next question. Oh, did you go to college too? Yes, I did, and then answer it that way, okay? That's
Okay.
what you want to do. You don't want to bulk dump, because then the interviewer is just sitting there listening, and the audience is going to go, wait a minute, whoa, slow down, right? This is an interview. So wait until those questions are asked. I love your enthusiasm, by the way.
Yeah. All right. All right.
All right.
Next question. Back to the interview. Okay.
Back to the interview. Okay, that was a good tune-up for everybody. They're all nodding in agreement that that you need to take little breaks in there. All right, question number 2. Jan, where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Illinois State to get my bachelor's degree. It was a double major in physics and math. I took the degree in physics. I didn't quite have enough units for 2 degrees. Then I went to get my master's degree from Purdue University, also in physics. Then I studied my PhD in combustion engineering in the ME department, mechanical engineering department at Purdue for a while.
Okay, so is your book about that stuff?
Well, it's kind of related. It's a metamorphosis. It starts what I've been writing all my life, and all the writing started off with a good ability to read and have a huge vocabulary. In high school, I could read something like 1,600 words per minute, and I read and read and read, and that helps you write and write and write. So all through my career, I have been writing nonfiction stuff, scientific articles, scientific journal articles. But now, since I'm retired, I'm training myself to write fiction, which is a totally different kind of mindset, is that you have to go from what is the truth, what is the science on this question, and you write up that. Now I have to say, okay, I have a blank sheet of paper, and now I have to make up a story. So who are my characters? What do they do? What's their participation in life, and how do they interact? So it's a totally different mindset from writing nonfiction.
So when you were in college and you were working on all those stuff, were you writing those technical journals back then as well, or just get started in it?
I had at Illinois State, yes, I did have an article published in the local college magazine called Orbit. It's a scientific journal, and it was on a pendulum that measured the frequency of gravity, or I forget. I think it was called Folcat's pendulum. I haven't read it for a long time. It was a long time ago. And at Purdue, I had a couple of scientific articles alongside my fellow RAs and my major professor. Those were in combustion.
Did you ever think that you were going to be writing a book about fiction later in your life, or was it something that was already in your mind and you thought, well, I got to do the bill paying stuff first and then I'll write the book later?
Fiction, I never really read a lot of fiction except the stuff that was assigned to me in high school and college English classes. So it was always the science I was more interested in. And it wasn't until, my career in science is kind of, I wouldn't say over. It's kind of like, I'm not there anymore. Let's go write some stuff and make up stories, which is totally different skill level.
When did that transition happen in your life? Were you fed up with the technical jargon, thought I got to do something more creative, or were you always
I still write technical stuff, and my technical stuff turned out to go down a different path too. Also a longtime skydiver. I've been skydiving since 1981. I have numerous publications in our magazine, and the most recent one was about a year ago. But I also publish, the way I'm teaching myself how to write fiction is I write scenes. I don't write short stories, and I don't write a novel, and I do have a plan for that, but I don't have an outline or anything. What I do is I write scenes. I make up some characters. I pretend that this is where they are in their life, and I try to emulate and give a lesson of life. So now it's transitioning. I'm almost 70, and it's transitioning from a time where you worked all the time to when you go, you have all this time, you putz around the garden a little bit more than you used to, you're not going to meetings all over the country or world, and you just want to do something constructive and keep yourself active and your mind active. So now I'm teaching myself a new skill, which is writing fiction, because I don't know how to do that very well. And then I post it on my Facebook page every once in a while and get people's, what do you think about this? And I just pretend to tell them I'm taking a novel writing class, but it's just a made up scene about a couple of characters doing something. And the last one, for instance, was a retired couple whose their grandson-in-law, whatever, their grandkids' husband came in and brought a coffee maker for him, but neither one of them liked coffee. And so he brings it into the kitchen early morning, and the grandfather kicks him out. Says, take that coffee maker with you. We don't even like the smell of coffee. Get it out of the house. And I asked people, what do you think about the scene and how they reacted?
Okay, so let's stop there, Jen. Once again, you'd actually make a really good guest for somebody who's not a very good interviewer, because you know your material so well. So take that as a compliment, okay?
Thank you.
What you need to work on, though, is letting the organicness of an interview happen. You've jumped around from so many different subjects because of time, and I want to get some other people in here. My next question was going to be, so tell me more about skydiving, right? That was a fascinating tangent for somebody who's writing and does technical stuff to suddenly want to jump out of airplanes. So there would be an interesting character study just learning why you were doing that. And you never gave me that opportunity because you're running down your story arc so well that I don't need to be in the interview anymore, right? You'll just run the clock. Yeah, well, thank you very much. Here's where you can find her book. Thank you for joining the Bing's World podcast today. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. And I do actually have a book in skydiving I can send you.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said I actually do have a book of skydiving that I could send you. It's a really small book.
Well, that's okay. I used to work for a skydiving school, so I can relate. Right?
Which one?
There's the thing is, we got to tone you back a little bit, right? You are a really good guest for a really, really bad interviewer, so those skills are going to work for you in the future. But you want to also come back to the point where you can make a conversation happen. So put a little period somewhere in between those little highlights so that gives them a chance to ask the question. And if they don't, then continue on with the next sentence. All right? Let's give her a big hand, though. That was just...
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, can we go to somebody in the room next? Is anybody in the room willing to volunteer? Des, was that your hand? Did I see your hand go up, Des? No? Okay, if not, I do have a couple people on Zoom who are willing to when you're ready.
Let's do them on Zoom.
Okay, Patricia, or Tad and Patricia, both are on my list. Who wants to go first?
Tad was first.
Okay, go ahead, Tad.
Thank you.
All right, so you ready to do this? Now, do you want a good interviewer or a bad interviewer?
Good interviewer.
No, I'm going to give you a bad one because you're never going to run into a good one.
No problem.
I'm off. Good. Oh, okay. All right. Ted, what's your last initial?
B. Bogdan.
Okay. Just for the quickness of it here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bad World. Bad World. That's an old one. Welcome to the Bing's World podcast, where today, and the reason why I screwed up is because I tell all my students never say hello, everyone, and I did it, and I caught myself right away. So I'm going to do a take 2 on that one. Hello, and welcome to the Bing's World podcast. We've got Tad B on as a guest today. Fascinating individual. I absolutely know nothing about this guy, and today you and I are going to learn all about him. Tad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bing.
All right, so I understand that you are a writer. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Well, so we got one question right so far. And Tad, do you write at home or do you write as a profession, or where do you write?
Well, I write at home, but it has not been my profession. It's something that in college, I had a professor recommend that I get into writing, but I majored in theoretical math, and I've been in business my whole career. I've done coaching and training, and did not start writing until after I retired.
Did you ever think about writing someplace else other than the house?
I could have written anywhere. In fact, with the computer, I have written at more places than my home. So good catch.
So do you find going someplace else is inspirational, or some kind of a mental therapy to get you into the groove of writing?
Well, I don't think my location has really been the impetus for my writing. It's more been feedback that I've had from other people. And that's really, was after all of my years of not being a writer, just being in business and doing training and speaking, that someone who I had had a discussion with and coached, who happened to be a professor at a university, gave me the inspiration to start writing my first book.
You are absolutely carrying the ball perfectly here. I had to interrupt you.
Thank you.
My questions are getting stranger and stranger, and you are steering it right back to where it belongs. That was awesome, man. That was really awesome, because you're going to get people just like me doing that to you. All right, let's go on. See if you can keep it up. Okay. Did you ever take your laptop to the beach?
I have. I've taken my laptop on vacations, and even when I was working, on vacations, I was inspired to do some work, just because I find it part of the vacation and is using your mind. So it's good to relax your mind, but then it's also good to apply it. And in fact, this gets to some of the topics that are in my book about how to think more effectively.
Oh, that's very interesting. Now, on the laptop, did you have to go out and shop for a particular one, like a large screen, or is there a particular brand that you like? Because I know there's a lot of writers out there that like using laptops out there and probably would like some information from somebody who's experienced with laptops to help them out on this.
Well, I think it's good to use whatever's convenient. For instance, some of my writing has been inspired in the middle of the night when my mind was in that semi-conscious state and creative. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. My mind would come up with some ideas that maybe I didn't think of when I was awake. And I'll reach over sometimes and just pick up my phone, and I've got to take little notes on the phone that'll allow me to basically bookmark those thoughts, go to sleep, wake up and start writing. And other times go into the other room and start writing. So I think it's really, when you get the ideas going, picking up on whatever device is most convenient for you.
All right, so let's pause here again. Did you see what he did there? That was textbook. That was awesome, man. That was really awesome.
Thank you.
Right? You're going to do well when your turn comes to doing the interviews. Because when you start getting those crazy questions like that, you just steered it right back on point. And it was so smooth and it was very interesting. Right? And let's make a note, he never once addressed the laptop. Right? Because he's thinking in his mind, what the hell is this guy asking me? Right? And he steered it right back to where he wanted it to be. So that was excellent. That was absolutely excellent. Give him another hand for that. And we're going to close up on his book here now. So
we have Patricia online next, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so tell me more about your book.
Well, there's a book that I've written and one that I'm writing right now. The book that I've written is called How to Master the Universe, Personal and Professional Life Skills Guide. And it's a very broad topic book. In fact, it's more of an encyclopedia of ways to do better, to live life better. Breathing skills, communication skills, rapport skills, everything from personal skills to professional skills like public speaking, coaching, negotiating. And the new book is, the working title is From Road Rage to Mindfulness, Better Decision-Making with Your Mind, Brain, and AI. And it's really gives you some very simple skills to use to be able to make better decisions, to use your mind when it's appropriate, to do more engaged thinking, and to use your brain as needed to do instinctive thinking, which is required. You need to rely on your brain to sometimes react because you can't always think through everything in life. Otherwise, you'd be stuck. So that's the topic of the new book, and I'm working it in the whole concept of AI. How does AI fit in with that paradigm of your mind and your brain? And so it's a fascinating topic that I'm really engaged in researching and thinking about whether anyone even bought the book in the future, though I would like people to buy it.
Thank you so much. People, you can find his book on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Thank you so much for being a guest today on the Bing's World podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Next week, we're going to have somebody who bathes camels. I don't know where we booked this guy. All right. Big hand for this guy. All right, so let's dissect what happened here. I was a terrible interviewer, right? But overall, did you enjoy what was happening here? It's because he took it over, right? And I let him take it over. And that's why it was such an enjoyable interview. We learned a lot of fascinating stuff. Nothing to do with the questions that I asked. It was his story arc. We learned about his past, why he got inspired to do this, where he works, and what his passions are. And in creating that book, he's expressing those passions on there. He ignored everything that I asked him. He stayed on topic. He stayed on his 2 points. One, his story arc, so the audience can identify and like him. And then the second one, as a promotion of his book. How did you feel about that? Did you like that?
Me or
Yes.
the audience?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
And it was a terrible interview from an interview perspective, right? But you saved it. You absolutely saved it. And the audience enjoyed it, right? You're not lying to me because I'm standing in front of you. They actually enjoyed it. Even though it was a terrible interview, you rescued it. Exactly the stuff I was talking about at the start of this. You knew your story and you knew what you wanted to put out there, right? Your message.
By the way, as a side note, just for the fun of it, I've tried doing some of these AI podcast tools, Notebook LM. And if anybody wanted to go to my website, there are a couple of articles that I had published that I fed into it just to see what AI would do. And it did a very good job. It made mistakes, which is one of the faults of AI. But it's pretty fascinating to see what the machine would do. But I'd much rather do it with a person, even when you're imitating a bad podcaster.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, big hand for him again. We'll move. Who's our next one?
We have Patricia online who has she has a deadline. So we'll go to her and then we'll go to, I think I saw Kay waving. Did you want to go next after Patricia, Kay? Okay, in the room. No? Okay. All right. Patricia, are you ready to go?
Hi.
Go ahead and unmute.
I unfortunately can't hop off camera quite yet. In a few minutes, I might be able to. Actually, give me 1 second. I have a little 1-year-old with me. So
Congratulations.
Really excited and honored to hop on. But if he starts acting up, we might have, oh, here we go. We might have to end a little bit abruptly because my life revolves around this little love bug.
He's adorable. He or she?
He.
I don't have my glasses on. He. Okay.
He. Thank you. Hey.
Hi. How are you?
We're doing well. We're just tuning in here. And we're actually new to this area. And I have a podcast too, which is, oh my goodness.
Okay.
So,
Do you have guests on your podcast?
I'm so sorry. Let me see if my husband can take him, and I'll let you know in the chat if I can come back.
You want us to go to somebody else and come back to you?
Yeah, that'd be best. Anybody in the room want to be the next victim? Oh, come on. Don't be shy. There's got to be somebody here that wants to be a guest on a podcast. Nobody? Oh my goodness. Anybody on Zoom like to give it a try? We could just have Bing appoint you, and then you'd be embarrassed if you don't walk up there.
Crystal, come on up here.
Okay, so City Councilwoman Crystal Ruiz will be next.
You knew that was coming. I was giving you that eye. And it's good to see you again. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm almost following my notes, too. That's amazing. It is. Okay, so you're going to be a guest on a really bad podcast or a really good guest on a good podcast? What do you want to do?
It's on you, doesn't it?
It is, because I'm the host.
You make up your mind.
Well, you're not a writer, but you're...
Well, I have written a book.
Oh, you have written a book. Oh, I stand corrected.
3.
3 pages?
No, 3 books.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's get on with the Bing's World podcast here. We'll do this and see how well you handle the bad interview.
Okay, I'll try.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bing's World podcast, where today I have writer and all-around good person, Crystal R. Crystal, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. It's an honor to have somebody like you on here. We don't usually get such extraordinary, excellent people like you on this show, so I'm honored that you showed up today.
Well, I'm being interviewed by the best.
Well, thank you very much. So you are a writer, you said, and so what did you write? What book did you create?
I actually wrote a story about my life and how I went from homeless, handicapped, a high-paying job to homeless, handicapped, in a tent to meeting multiple presidents.
Wow. And that book is out on the market now?
It will be soon.
Soon. Okay, and we can find it where?
You'll be able to read it at Amazon and at Barnes & Noble and wherever they sell books.
Excellent. So tell us more about the book and your journey inside there. Did you find it hard to write this book? Was it bringing up really bad memories that you really didn't want to cover? Maybe some personal things that you didn't want to share with the world, but felt it was necessary to actually tell these stories and put yourself out in the open and exposed for these people so they could, really experience what you went through?
Bing, did you already read my book?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, you should, because that's pretty much it. Really, it's about how I spent my youth wanting to be a politician, but of course I was knocked out of politics because back then it was, women don't belong in politics.
The good old boys.
Yes, exactly. But the good old boys is not just in politics, because I was in the restaurant industry. Back then, women weren't in management. And once again, the boys club kicked in. And you ended up with a Me Too situation, which is very hard to discuss. It's humiliating if you've been in that situation. But I discussed that, but it also talks about the funny things like the renegade squirrels and the constipated porta potties and one of my close friends and her wrestling, her date wrestling with a chair. It's kind of funny and
wrestling with a chair. Oh, you got to tell that story.
Oh, I could tell that story, but I can only tell you a little bit. I had this friend, and she used to come to visit me while I was in the tent. And so one day she tells me about this blind date that she has. Now, mind you, she's 6 foot. This blind date comes into a restaurant to meet her. She's in the bar, and she's sitting at a high-top table just waiting for him to come in. He comes waltzing in, and he's like 5 foot nothing. And so he tries to get on this chair and be all Joe Cool about getting on this chair. And instead, he kicks his leg over and gets caught in the chair, starts wrestling with the chair. And she kept trying to help him, but he wouldn't take the help. So the journey goes on until finally he just ends up running out of the restaurant and everybody in the whole place is just roaring.
So that date didn't go very well. How did she feel?
Oh, she thought it was hysterical. She was a very funny person. Unfortunately, she died not too many years ago. But she was a very funny person. So she laughed and laughed and laughed. I told her blind dates just aren't what they're supposed to be, right?
Apparently not. He was not a chairman of anything, huh?
No, well, he was a chairman, but not that kind. He's an acrobat.
All right. So let's pause here for a second. Where is this interview going? It's going nowhere, right? I'm just, shotgunning questions off, and half of them have nothing to do with anything that she's here to talk about, right? She gave us a good introduction with her story arc and the fact that she's used her story arc to produce a book, which if I was a really good host, I'd go, wow, there's a whole bunch of excellent questions asked. And I did, by the way. It was really hard not to do it right, right? And you did a great job staying on focus. So let's continue a little bit more, okay? And then we'll get back to the baby. Wow. Okay? Very cute baby. All right, so here we go. So what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I thought to myself, I want people to understand that God, if he can do those things in my life, he can do greater things in theirs. So I wanted it to be an inspiration to them, to know that through the hard times, that even though things are heavy and hard and it's hard to lift up sometimes, that you can get through it too. So that's the whole purpose behind the book, is to inspire people to know that they're not alone.
That's very nice. That's very inspirational. This is why you're one of my favorite guests to have on the Biggs World podcast today. Where can we find the book?
You can find it at Barnes & Noble. You can find it online at Amazon and anywhere you can buy books.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Crystal R. on the Biggs World podcast today. All right. So I ran out of material really quick, so I ended up repeating myself, right? Because you already explained what the inspiration was, where the book could be found, right? And you're going to run into the question. You're going to have a microphone so they can hear you online. Okay. That's right, because I'm a bad interviewer. And the question for the people online was, what's the name of the book? Because I never asked what the name of the book was. But I was playing a terrible host on purpose. And that was a good point that you brought up there, right? The audience should have felt really unfulfilled with this. Although she's got a great story. And a good interview would have capitalized on that. I would love to do a real interview with you and capitalize on that, because the natural progression of your story is so well defined, and the outcome is going to be such a good one with a book, right? It's a happy ending in that interview, and it's just an interview waiting to happen. So it was really tough to be a bad interview with you, but I'll try it anyway. Pat, are you ready online there? Is it Patricia? Pat?
Patricia? Are you ready to...
I can do audio only for a couple minutes.
That's fine. Because sometimes you're going to do an audio podcast, right? Just an audio interview.
Yeah. Thanks for your patience.
All right. So we'll do a 2-minute one. All right. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be a really bad host, and I want you to save it. Okay. And it's Patricia, what's your last name? Starts with a C, right?
Koselich Smith. It's a hard one to pronounce.
I'm just using initials just for time's sakes.
Love it.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Biggs World podcast, where today I've got Patricia C. on here. Patricia has written a book that, frankly, I find absolutely interesting. And I wanted to share this with you today. Patricia, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for having me on this show, I am so excited to be here. And admittedly, I'm still in the process of writing my book. I'm better known for a play that I wrote and actually a podcast.
Okay, that's good. But what is the book about?
Well, the book, really, if you want to have a more process-oriented conversation, like the very early stages, we can definitely go there. I'm down to talk the nitty-gritty of the creative process.
Just tell me what the book is about.
Yeah, well, it's really still evolving. I'm in the throes of toddler motherhood. I'm a new mom. And so, to be quite honest with you, I don't for sure know what the book is even going to be about. I'm exploring a lot of ideas about matrescence, like adolescence, the transition into motherhood.
But you know what? That's why I found your book so fascinating, is because it was so random. And that's why I wanted to bring you onto the show today, is because this randomness of your book just made you a fascinating individual to talk about today. So what inspired you to write this random book?
Well, I love randomness, weirdness, eccentricity. Really, though, I'm more about the process. And so if you want to know more about my work, I really recommend my podcast, the Transitions Podcast, where we talk about the process of becoming, of designing your life, of testing, iterating, figuring things out, design thinking. And really, the book may not come into fruition for another 10 years. I mean, I'll be trying to do the 15-minute writing periods a day. And it really is something that I feel is coming through, but it's not quite ready to take shape. To be totally honest, I think that's valid creatively.
So now is your podcast basically that same randomness of thought and design, or does it have a little more structure to it?
No, the podcast is more structured for sure. I've been doing it for about 4 years now, and it's all about navigating the process of change. So think personal change management and life design.
Okay, and what's the name of your podcast?
The Transitions Podcast.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say it again.
The Transitions Podcast. So it's all about life transitions, like navigating burnout, becoming a parent, career pivots, even launching a book. I've had authors on the show before too.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Bing's World podcast today. I really appreciate that. Patricia C., who has been a huge inspiration in me by looking at her book and seeing that randomness can actually be an organized design somewhere, someplace. Thank you for joining me. Okay, a big hand to her. Thanks for jumping in there. How did that feel? Now, wait, before you answer, Patrice, let me ask the audience. Did you enjoy that interview? No, I was terrible, right? It didn't go anywhere. It was just a time filler. And I was obviously not prepared, right? I'm talking about how great her book is, and she's telling me it's not done yet, right? So it was really just a train wreck of an interview overall. How did she do? She did good, right? She actually took over this interview, because since I didn't know what I was doing and I stepped off into a minefield, I was now relying on her to tell this story. And then I kept screwing it up with even dumber questions, right? Because I'm thinking, what's the next question I'm going to ask her? What's the next question? Instead of listening to what she had to say. And that's what bad interviewers do. They're not listening to you. They're just trying to think of the next question to ask. And that is terrible. Gee, I keep stumbling over your name. Patricia, you did a really, really good job there saving this interview. And if I was the amateur instead of the pro, I was, wow, that was a great interview. You really did a good job there. And from your aspect of it, you did a great job there. You got your message across, you got your point across, and even though we didn't cover your story arc, we still got what your point was you had a book and a podcast that you wanted to promote. And that, I guarantee, was the last thing that people remember of this interview, right? So give her a big hand. That was wonderful. How much time do we have? 10 minutes. You guys want questions and answers then? Or have questions for me? Anybody online? Because we either have time for one more interview. You want to do an interview or question? Interview? Come on up here. We've got an interviewer. We've saved the best for last. Thanks for playing on today's Bing's World podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here. Okay. Is that close enough?
Bing, you can also move to your left.
That's the way.
Yeah. Well, I was publicly educated. I need a little help here. All right. Jim, what's your last name or initial? B. Another B. Or Bing. Yes. Or Bob. Or Bruce. Or Bong. Or basketball. We could do this all day. Yeah. But still, I still need you closer because we've got to be on either one camera or the other. Are we good? We're good. Okay, we're good. All right. So you're a writer, I'm assuming?
No, I'm not a writer. started to write just a few years ago. All my life,
No, wait, don't tell me the story yet. I'm just trying to get a background for your introduction. Okay, so hold that. You know your arc, and that's great. So hold that. All right, and so you're a beginning writer.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. You want a bad interviewer? You got it. Couldn't ask for a nicer guy to do that, right? Okay. Welcome to Bing's World Podcast, where today I've got Jim B. Jim B is an aspiring writer. He wants to write, and he's an inspiration to us all for those that are just transitioning into writing for the first time. Jim, welcome to the Bing's World Podcast.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. Stuff.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks, Mom. No, anyway, I'm just kidding. But anyway, well, I wasn't talking about you. I thought Mom was the one who was talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, anyway, so you are an aspiring writer. Now, what kind of writing do you want to do?
Informational and humorous writing. I completed a humorous book, very comical book.
Oh, because you said informational and humorous. I was thinking, writer for the LA Times.
No, the name of the book will help explain it. It's called The Official Male Bathroom Rule Book.
Oh, I see.
The rules that men use when they go to the bathroom, which are entirely different than ladies when they go to the bathroom.
I think this is probably a necessary book in every household, don't you?
Absolutely. I designed a book for moms that have single boys, for women that want to get the toilet seat down, okay? And it's humorous, and it's for guys that go to the bathroom and don't follow the male rules. As you and I well know, we have a whole series of unwritten rules.
We do, and protocol that we have to follow.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so I got to ask the obvious question. Out of all the subjects out there in the world, why this one?
I wanted to write something that would be educational, that would be helpful, that would help moms out, that would help guys out, that would help women out getting that toilet seat down at home.
So there's an ulterior motive there. It's keeping the peace.
Keeping the peace and making money.
So on the particular toilets that are controversial, which ones do you think are harder to train guys to do this with? Public ones, in the public restrooms where it's unisex, or someplace like at home where it's, a toilet seat there? Where do you find that there's the most tension in this conflict with the toilet seat?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because the book covers both residential bathrooms, commercial bathrooms, public bathrooms, and all types of bathrooms that are out there. And it's educating people and keeping them on track as to what the rules are to be. There are 68 rules in the book and 75 illustrations that are in the book also.
It comes with pictures.
Yes, and not a single one is a commode in there.
Just the providers.
Yeah, I do have illustrations like most women don't get into a men's bathroom, have no idea what urinals are or what they look like. There's 5 basic types of urinals, and I describe those in there. And the book also has a section in the end of it how you rate the bathroom, the process guys go through when we go to the bathroom, especially a public bathroom.
Well, and that brings up a really important question to me, because there is a bunch of different urinals. Do you prefer the little scoopy mouth type, or do you like the full standing ones where it just goes all the way down to the floor?
That's really a personal choice, depending upon the individual, and it's all described in the book for the different types of urinals.
And which one do you think is easier to clean?
I have no idea. I don't clean the urinals. That's for other.
Hence the problem in your house, right?
I don't have a urinal in my house, but that's a good question. I'm glad you asked me that.
Oh, maybe something you can put in the book in the future.
I don't think so.
All right, let's pause here for just a second. How is this interview going? Right? Because I'm going nowhere with the questions, but yet we understand everything about him, right? He's told us his story arc in some sense, and he's told us exactly what the book is about. And no matter how stupid my questions were, he stayed on topic. He took over the interview. I don't know if you knew that or not. You took over the interview.
That's what I wanted to do, Bob. Bing.
Yes. Have we met?
Never.
All right. So that was a textbook example of how to make a good interview out of a bad one, because my questions were terrible on purpose, right? But he saved it. You guys are enjoying yourself, right? Did you enjoy the interview? Anybody online enjoy the interview? Yes. You're up there smiling. You're having a good time, right? Because he saw what was coming. He knew what he wanted to sell. He wanted to sell himself. He wanted to sell his book. And he stayed, no matter what stupid question I asked him, he always brought it back to the book, right?
You did very good, Bob. Oh, bing, bing, bing. Yeah.
I got to get a name tag for you.
Okay. I got one.
Oh, yes. So you can. All right, Jim, thank you so much. Give him a big hand. That was really fun. That's a good one to close this with. Okay, so we got 4 minutes, so I'll open this up for any questions that we might have, especially online. You guys are really quiet back there. Anybody out there?
If you have a question online, go ahead and unmute and ask Bing now. It looks like they don't have any questions.
All right, so I got to do a shameless plug for my book. I know none of you are into podcasting because you're your own writers, but I did write, and you probably have seen it around the room a little bit. This way. Seen it around the room a little bit. Here, they're telling me they can't see it on the book is called Rise Above the Noise, and it's a beginner's guide to professional podcasting. This is really designed for those dumbass interviewers that you're going to encounter, right? So, I know that you might not be interested in the book, but you might want to keep that information in mind, and you can get it at Amazon. So when you get on one of those interviews where it's just going nowhere, you can say, you know what? I've got a really good book you should read. It's called Rise Above the Noise, right? And teach them how to do this. And if there's no other questions or comments, yes. No, I don't have the recording here. I do have recordings of it because I always record the interviews just to see if there's anything I can salvage out of it. I can tell you that story. There's just some of them, and I don't want to mention any names because it's a small world, right? The very first one that I did, I actually became good friends with her. She's in North Carolina, and she interviewed me for the book. So she was the very first one I did when the book was released. And she told me after the interview, she goes, I was so scared. And I said, well, actually, you did pretty good. Well, she bought the book the night before and was reading the book really quick and realized how bad she was. And so she was making all these notes to make sure she didn't make those mistakes. And she did make one mistake. And it's one that I think it comes from like a film school or some kind of college or something like that, where you just ask character questions. And you're going to get these. They'll ask questions like, well, what's your favorite color? Oh, I don't know, blue. Why? Right? Where's that going? In this case, she asked me what my favorite animal was, and I know why she was doing that, and it was set up for something else that was coming, so she doesn't get dinged for that. But when somebody is interviewing you and they have no idea what they're saying, they're going to start throwing out these random questions, right, just to try to come up with something. Oh, so you skydive? Oh, there's something I can talk about with you, right? They're going to do that. And that's basically what that interview was full of, was just questions like, where are we going with this? Because this is making no sense at all. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. I do not have a show. I just teach this stuff. So Bing's World Podcast is completely fictitious. It's simply as part of the exercise in the class. So when I'm teaching the class, there's the Bing's World Podcast. And actually, it's got music and bumpers and all kinds of stuff on there to really immerse the person into it when they're being interviewed. When my book got released, there was a lot of publicity. You probably saw some of it online. And so people were reaching out to me and saying, would you be a guest on our show? The ones in Las Vegas, they knew of me and they were waiting for the book to come out just so they could be, have me on there. Okay, so that's where it comes from. They're always looking for people. They're always looking for content because they got a lot of time to fill. So being a guest is pretty cool. There's an organization, and I won't mention them yet because I don't want to appear like I'm, endorsing them yet. But I just found an organization that looks for people that want to be guests on podcasts. And you pay a little fee and they put you all over the planet, right? And it's geared towards your specific market. And so I've been following them now for about 2 weeks just to see what they're about and what they do. And maybe in the future, I can give you some guide, if you want to join that and jump into that so you become a talent pool for these people desperate for content. But I got to tell you, you're going to run into that 90% that don't know what they're doing when you get that. Okay? And the question was, how do you get to be interviewed, right? How to be a guest. All right, any other questions? How much is the book? Which one? This one is the most expensive one. This is the hardcover book. I believe it is $24. Everything else is under 20. I think it's $19 for the paperback, and then it's like $4 for the audiobook. Which, I gotta tell you, I mean, these are really cool. I mean, it's a proud moment to be holding my book in my hand right now. It's a solid book, and I hope you guys get to do that too. Thank you. But my favorite version is the audiobook, because I teach this as a class, and I struggled to write because I'm not a writer. You guys are the writers. I'm not the writer. And everybody kept saying, you need to write this as a book. And so I did. And I was having a hell of a time with it. I just decided to grab the microphone and just lecture into the microphone. And that's how that book got written. And so the audio version is basically me giving you guys a one-on-one instruction. So I read the book to you, but there's also a lot of improv inside there too that you'll enjoy. And there's examples in the book where you're reading the examples where I'm actually playing the characters, right? So you get to hear different voices inside there. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm really proud of the audiobook. Okay, did you have a question too? Audiobook at Amazon.com. You can get all the books at Amazon.com. We also have, here, let me grab this real quick. A QR code up here, so if you want to order it, you can do that. I have some books here if you want to buy the individual copies. The hard copy is not for sale. That's a demo purpose only. So you'd have to get the hard copy online. Okay, any other questions?
Bing, this is Jan Meyer again. Can I interview you about your book in a mini 1 minute or 2 minute interview?
Yeah, I'll be done here in about 15 minutes.
No, I mean for the example.
Yes.
I'll keep it short. Can I do that?
Yes. Yeah, get a hold of me a little bit later. You can get a hold of me through the guild and stuff, but we're out of time here, so I gotta jump off here. Thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me today and having fun with me. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Bing. Never a dull moment. I can attest to that personally, since I've been married to this man for 36 years. This is my husband. Thank you. I don't usually claim him, but he did pretty good today, so I'll go ahead and say he's mine. Anyway, that being said, a little more on the book. It is available on Amazon. I believe the audiobook is on Audible. Am I wrong on that, guys? It's on Audible as well. So if you have an Audible subscription, you can download it. But it's in hard copy, hardback, paper, and ebook. See, it's all 4 directions. It's whatever you want to do. And I think Lynette is going to put in the chat how to access that. But if you go to Amazon and you just simply type in Rise Above the Noise and Bing Bruce, it will pop up. Because he debuted at number 1 and number 2 on his paperback and his hardback. And then I think it was number 5 on the ebook, all in the same week. So he did very well. So moving on, next month, the July 19th meeting. So it is the 3rd Saturday, 9:30, right here in this room. Martin Lastraps. Am I saying that right? Lastraps. I've only seen it written. I didn't know how it was pronounced. But Martin Lastraps is going to be here. He's driving in from Las Vegas to join us. I'm so excited about that. He's a nice guy. He also does have a podcast, if you go to his website, and he's going to be speaking on character development. And I'm telling you, he's dynamic. We had a Zoom meeting before we put him on the agenda. And so let me tell you a little bit about him. If I can find my bio. There it is. Martin is an acclaimed author and indie publisher known for his imaginative storytelling, signature humor, and his works often explore unconventional characters such as teenage cannibals, unicorn-killing superheroes, and fireproof college professors. His self-published works have earned numerous literary accolades, including the grand prize at the Paris Book Festival and the gold prize at the Self-Publishing Review Book Awards. A native of the Inland Empire in California, where he earned a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in composition, he now calls Las Vegas home. And so he will be with us next month. Looking forward to that. Otherwise, that's about it. Couple of last minute reminders. Volunteers we're always looking for. If you're not a member, please go online, click on the join link, $25 a year. And our next board meeting is on July 8th. Any paid member is welcome at our Zoom board meetings. And if you're interested, email the Guild. We'll make sure you have a link for that board meeting the evening of July 8th. It's boring, but it's how we steer the Guild in the direction to the future. So thank you all for attending again. And hey, we're adjourning for lunch at Emilio's Restaurant. I hope you all join us. Thank you.